Welcome to SoCal Voices, Impact of ICE, a student-led investigative podcast where we examine the history and impact of immigration and customs enforcement in Southern California.
I'm Maxine Tchaikovsky.
And I'm Mars Cook. In today's episode, we focus on allegations of brutality by immigration and customs enforcement agents and how communities are responding.
On March 24th, a campus community gathered for a memorial.
Keith Porter Jr.
Keith Porter Jr.
Keith Porter Jr.
Keith Porter Jr.
Names of those who were killed by immigration officers were spoken one by one.
Family members shared stories. Grief was public. So was solidarity.
The name of the murderer, Brian Palacios. The fact that he is a racist. The fact that he is a homophobe. The fact that he is a child abuser. That man should have never been given a gun and unleashed on the American public.
The vigil wasn't just about mourning, it was about recognition and resistance.
Events like this are happening more often, as reports of ICE enforcement and alleged abuses continue across the country.
Advocacy groups and journalists have documented cases involving excessive force, unsafe detention conditions, and deaths in custody.
According to the ACLU and Human Rights Watch, detainees have reported physical mistreatment, lack of medical care, and in some cases, fatal neglect.
These cases are not isolated. They reflect broader concerns about how immigration enforcement is carried out and who it impacts. Beyond individual stories, data and investigations point to a larger pattern of harm.
A 2024 report by the ACLU and Physicians for Human Rights found that over 95% of deaths in ICE custody reviewed were likely preventable, often linked to delayed or denied medical care.
Investigations have also documented the use of excessive force during arrests, including chokeholds and physical restraint tactics that restrict breathing.
In some cases, enforcement has turned deadly. Reports show that civilians, including U.S. citizens, have been shot during encounters with immigration agents.
Human Rights Watch has described ICE operations in Los Angeles as, quote, violent raids that spread fear across entire communities, often taking place in workplaces and public spaces.
And according to federal data, tens of thousands of people are held in immigration detention each day, meaning these risks affect a large and growing population.
For many families, enforcement doesn't just mean arrest, it means long-term trauma, separation, and fear of everyday spaces like schools, workplaces, and even hospitals. For Professor Anna Prada, one of the Vigil organizers, the Vigil began with a need to acknowledge loss.
Let us know your name and what your position is.
My name is Anna Prada. I'm a professor in the Department of Sociology here at CSUN. I'm also Vice President for tenure track faculty with CFA on our campus and also co-chair of membership of CFA.
And can you just explain a little bit about planning the vigil and what?
So one of the things that I think maybe we could have talked a little bit more about today was actually the impetus for this was actually Keith Porter Jr.'s death, because he's someone that died in Northridge. His families have tied to CSUN. So we wanted to bring visibility and to honor him. And that death in particular happened New Year's Eve. And I guess when we came back and we're like, oh, we need to have a moment as a community to heal and to come together. And then what happened in Minneapolis just made it even more urgent to everybody. And when we started seeing, we always kind of knew that people were dying in ICE detention, but we didn't know how many people had died and how much of an issue it was or how big it was. So that was really, even for professors, eye-opening, honestly. And the fact that this keeps happening, it's just kind of a reminder that a lot of us are in pain, but we're not dealing with pain. And as Milton is one of our counselors on campus tells us, when you don't deal with pain, pain deals with you. And I think this was just a way for us as matadors to come together and heal together. I think that's kind of the reason behind it.
And what was it like reaching out to the family members?
So I didn't do that work myself, but Dell Williams in the library, she's a librarian here. She knew that the family might be interested in coming and say a few words about Kid Porter Jr. And we were trying to always have them here because, like I said, he was a big part of why we did this vigil. So I think we kind of thought, as important as this vigil is, it will be way more meaningful if the family comes. So we made efforts for that to happen. And it was actually my first time listening to them and the details of what happened.
Any other questions you think there's?
Moving forward, are there any other events or organization planning coming up related to this?
I would love to say hopefully not, but we also got information that a lot of people couldn't make it today. So maybe we'll do another event in the future, but we don't know. I do know something. Some of our colleagues, this was also organized by the CFA Immigration Task Force, which is a task force of all the 23 campuses. And I know other campuses are planning to have similar vigils. CSUN was just the first, but maybe this is not even the last one here on our campus, but I know other campuses are looking into having the same efforts on their own campus for their faculty, for their students, for staff, for all the other workers on our campus.
And if there are any students who are afraid for their own safety or family members' safety because of their immigration status, what advice would you give to them?
Reach out to our services. Reach out to the counseling service. Reach out to us, CFA. But also know that we are in this together. And I think if there was a message today was that, some communities have been more affected, more impacted, brown and black people have been more impacted, but still dust. White people have been impacted. This is all of us.
That's my sadness of
reminding all of us
why
that
are you beset with
you're
gloom?
not alone.
It's because I walk as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room.
This. So
just like moons
keep that
and
in
like
mind
suns with
and
the
reach out to
certainty
others
of
because you're not
time.
alone.
Just like hope springing high.
The vigil created a shared space not just for grief, but for reflection.
And for some students, attending was both heavy and hopeful.
So what were your thoughts attending the vigil?
It was a very, very heavy vigil. The atmosphere was very somber, honestly. And coming to the vigil, like, seeing everyone united together, lots of people I knew, lots of people I didn't know, it was a bit of optimism to it, because, in all these hard times, seeing so-called law and order turn against us normal citizens, just, but we can fight against it, seeing all of us banding together, despite the fact that this government is trying to send its people against us, we persevere, As in the end, even though this country loves to teach us that it is only us ourselves who will gain success, we all have each other, and that we can all climb out of this pit together. We can all live in prosperity. It doesn't have to be one person's dreams over everyone else's. It could be all of our dreams together, if that makes sense.
Perfect. And what was the reason you decided to attend today?
A lot of my friends are in these types of movements, and I just wanted to go as well because I felt it was necessary. It was my role.
We spoke with Abram Milton of CSUN's Staff Counseling Department.
Abram Milton, and I'm one of the staff counselors at University Counseling Services.
So if you could just kind of explain how it was like attending the vigil here, especially with everything going on.
Yeah, so especially with everything going on, the main focus for me was just that honoring the lives that were lost. Right? And so as a mental health professional and supporting, just kind of keeping that kind of mindset. There's a lot of mixed emotions and all that. But like I said, keeping on the main thing about saying honoring these lives. So, no, we don't want to lose any kind of lives on things. And so for me, it was just keeping that focus, kind of honor people who have lost their lives through these situations.
And is there any advice you would give to people who are facing this kind of challenge, or?
Yes, at University Counseling Services, we do a lot with grief and loss. And so the main thing I want to tell people is that their emotions are valid no matter what they are, right? Some people may come in here, they may feel sadness, anger, numbness, all are valid. And so like as a sense of community, that's the important thing. So for me, it's just like saying your feelings are valid.
And do you have any counselors who specialize in helping students facing these problems?
Yes. So like within our office space, so we have all kind of different individuals. So like we have individuals, if someone want to talk about the unfortunate incidents that happen with the deaths and all that, we have several counselors that deal with grief and loss, right? And we have some people want to talk about immigration and things like that, right? We have liaisons that deal with that. Right? We have just people who just want to come in and say how they want to support. So yes, we have many different counselors in our office that can help for whatever, right? It can be on this, it can be on a different opinion, but the main thing is just for them to come in to get help, definitely students.
Yeah. And if a student wanted to go reach out to a counselor or liaison officer, what was the process?
Okay, yeah, great question. I love that one. So for University Counseling Services, we support all students, CSUN students, no matter where you at. If you're a CSUN student, come see us. So we in the 5th floor of Baramian Hall. We offer individual therapy. We offer groups. We offer wellness workshops, couples counseling, and psychiatric consultations. It's all free and confidential for students. We're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. After hours, we have a crisis line. They can look on our website, csun.edu/counseling for details. Or I'm going to give a shameless plug for our social media, CSUN_counseling services.
That sense of community stands in contrast to the fear many immigrant families experience.
Research shows immigration enforcement can create long-term anxiety, isolation, and instability not just for individuals, but entire communities. Each name read at the Vigil represents a life and a story that might otherwise go unheard.
But events like this ensure they are remembered.
The memorial may not be the last. Organizers say similar events could happen again on this campus and others.
As conversations around immigration enforcement continue, so will the voices calling for accountability and humanity.
Thank you for joining us today. This podcast was produced by students in the journalism department at California State University, Northridge. Visit our YouTube channel at SoCal Voices, Impact Device for more episodes.